This is CBC Saturday News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us this Christmas Eve. From Windsor to the Quebec border, it has been a wild day across the province. Many people stranded as planes, trains, and automobiles dealt with the aftermath of treacherous conditions. A nasty blast of winter weather yesterday into this morning didn't bring much snow, but intense winds brought down trees, knocking out power to tens of thousands of customers in the region. In a few moments, we'll take you live to one municipality that even declared a state of emergency, as blizzard and icy conditions led to thousands of collisions and forced many drivers off the roads. Hundreds of people sheltered in place in community centers overnight, like this one in Colborne, Ontario, near Belleville. And significant late breaking news from near Grafton, Ontario. Via is reporting all rail service is canceled for the rest of the day and tomorrow between Toronto and Ottawa and Toronto and Montreal. The rail company says it is because of a CN train derailment about 130 kilometers east of Toronto. No injuries have been reported, and the cause of the incident remains under investigation.
I just exited now, so it's, 22 hours. The fact that we didn't know anything was the worst part.
Hundreds of rail passengers across the region did finally make it to their destination this evening. Via Rail says several trains were halted on tracks for hours overnight. But just moments ago, the rail company confirming all passengers have now safely got to their destinations. But many passengers are reporting harrowing ordeals, feeling trapped overnight on trains. One train, for example, left Ottawa yesterday afternoon and was stuck on the tracks near Cobourg for roughly 15 hours, only finally making it to Toronto this evening. Sarah Jabakanji has been speaking with people on that train, and she joins us now from Union. Hey there, Sarah. What a rough trip. So close to Christmas. How are people telling you that they're doing?
Chris, even after making it safely here to Union, in time for the holiday, the people I spoke with said they felt infuriated. One even said she felt like she was being held hostage with little communication about why it was taking so long. Exhausted and deflated right before Christmas, train passenger Marlene Musial thought her trip from Kingston to Toronto to see her son would take 2 hours and never anticipated how that timeline would go so off the rails.
You expected to have some delays, understandably, but I don't think anyone bargained for a 21-hour delay.
Via says due to extreme winter weather, 9 trains along the Quebec City-Windsor corridor were immobilized, while another 7 were canceled outright this morning. The rail company says power outages and fallen trees made it impossible to keep trains moving.
About an hour into the trip, we were delayed, we were slowing down and stopping. At that point, there were no announcements. It was snowing, of course. It's very cold outside. The train is packed.
These are locked. Passengers on this train were furious. All the bathrooms but one were locked and out of order. They say the one that was working was disgusting.
We run out of food quickly. There's no water. So washrooms are just absolutely abominable.
Via instructed passengers to stay on board, but in this video you can see one passenger who had left the train with luggage in hand. In all, passengers say a couple dozen left and were picked up nearby. In a statement, Via says, "We deeply apologize for this situation. We are continuing to work with our teams and the infrastructure owner to either get those trains moving as quickly as possible or bring them to their final destination with new equipment." But even passengers who made it safely to Union Station weren't over it.
It was terrible. It says that we were on there for 12. I think we were on there for about 17 to 18 hours.
And I've been here 11 hours waiting for my brother.
Some family members waited overnight for stranded loved ones to arrive in time for the holiday.
Like I'm in a Christmas movie and hoping for the warm, fuzzy ending.
Via says everyone affected will be getting a full refund, but many of the passengers say they're not sure if they want to take Via again. One passenger says about 100 of them are considering filing a class action suit against the company.
Fascinating. Thanks for the latest from Union Station, Sarah. That's CBC's Sarah Jabakanji for us. Via Rail customers, not the only passengers stranded today. Thousands of travelers trying to get home for the holidays have been delayed as the effects of the wild weather persists across the province. Patrick Swadden has that part of our coverage tonight.
The effects of Ontario's blast of winter weather, perhaps nowhere more apparent than Toronto's Pearson Airport.
I was here yesterday at 5:30 p.m. and we have not left the airport yet.
This man actually boarded and sat on the plane for 3 hours before he was told it wouldn't take off. He says Air Canada is now asking him to pay more to get back on a flight as the weather forces cancellations.
I'm at a level where I'm so mad I don't care anymore.
Passengers scattered throughout Pearson waiting to see if they'll get home for the holidays.
They should be providing us with something, at least accommodation. It is bad weather, how about us? Are we going to sleep in the airport?
The airport authority says staffing levels and weather systems across the country have affected Toronto Pearson.
And it's that trickle-down effect that we've kind of seen all week. Again, it will be a little bit, a couple days before we see a recovery.
Meanwhile, the roads weren't much better. Strong winds led to blizzard conditions across the region and countless collisions. Major stretches of Ontario highways were shut down, including Highway 401 near London.
We are still dealing with significant road closures because of treacherous driving, whiteout conditions, blowing snow.
In Toronto, only a couple centimeters of snow fell, and the mayor says city crews handled it.
All of the contractors, all of the equipment necessary to salt roads and clear snow was on the job yesterday and will continue to be on the job.
Despite the cleared roads, major advisories are still in effect for most of the province. And while many were hoping to reunite with family and friends this holiday season,
stay home whenever you can because it just makes it more safe for you.
A stark warning for Ontarians this Christmas Eve. Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
And speaking of our dangerous roads, late today, the OPP confirming Ontario's first traffic fatality in Essex County. The provincial police say that crash is still under investigation, and so it can't say if the vicious weather caused the crash. But the OPP did release this video along with that news, showing the treacherous conditions and the aftermath it all caused. The Provincial Police Service says over the last 36 hours, it received around 7,000 calls for service. Many of them were stuck and stranded motorists. And the OPP says hundreds of collision investigations remain ongoing at this hour. This was the scene in Hamilton earlier today. Heavy winds knocking down lots of trees there and knocking out power to nearly 80,000 people across the province. Hydro One says it is working to restore power to those affected.
As these high winds persist, particularly around the shorelines, we do anticipate more outages to occur into this evening. This isn't like a storm that, sort of whips across the province in one fell swoop where you have a very clear start and end time. This is persisting.
Hydro One asking customers for patience as they continue those restoration efforts. They say their crews will not stop until every customer is restored. The municipality of Chatham-Kent declaring a state of emergency as it deals with the aftermath of the storm. The blizzard left hundreds of people stranded there after a number of vehicles were abandoned. Chatham-Kent Police Service is asking the public to stay off the roads to allow plows and tow trucks to clear vehicles. Now, for more on all this, we've reached Allison Story. She's a local councillor. So good to join us on Christmas Eve. We appreciate your time, Allison.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
So we've been seeing this video of treacherous conditions right across Ontario, but very few places declaring a state of emergency. Why did your town decide to do that?
Well, we were facing conditions that we haven't seen in Chatham-Kent in probably 40 to 50 years. So we knew that we needed to send a strong message to residents that this was a very serious situation that we needed to address immediately, and to be able that we could work with our provincial partners to ensure that we had the resources we needed to get to everyone who may still be stranded. It's a very serious situation here right now.
And so what will the state of emergency allow the city to focus on now, or the town to focus on now?
The top priority right now is to make sure that we have reached everyone who may be stranded in their vehicles. We have gotten to many of them already, but we are a very large, primarily rural municipality, over 2,400 square kilometers. So we have a lot of roadways that need to be explored to make sure we have gotten to everyone that needs to be reached. So we want to make sure we have that ability to do so with all of our first responders as well. It's really important we get to every road to make sure we've reached everyone possible.
Now, Allison, yesterday the town tweeted that anyone who can welcome stranded passengers should do so. What was the response to that request?
You know, I actually have been calling it our come from away moment. We have been, the response has been incredible. We had folks literally within an hour. Once it went out, we had hundreds of people putting forward, opening their doors to strangers who were stranded. We had folks, churches opening up their doors across the community. We had service clubs shuttling people where safe to do so from our municipal shelters, which were the Tilbury and Ridgetown arenas. We had folks who had to stay overnight at Walmart and the Superstore. We had so much generosity and compassion, just like that folks opened up their doors to strangers on a very dangerous weather condition situation. So it was just actually a really bright and silver lining in a very scary situation.
Absolutely. And on the night when so many people are going to be gearing up for the holidays and gearing up for Christmas, already busy themselves, what does it kind of mean to you to see this sort of generosity from the people who live around you?
Well, Chatham-Kent is full of extremely generous and compassionate people. We always have been, and this is no different. I knew when the municipality put the call out for help that our citizens would respond, and they did in ways that I never could have imagined. It's an extremely heartwarming situation we're having, and it's really wonderful to see, especially at Christmas, for sure.
Love that, and I'm so glad that we could help share that story amidst all the trouble that your town continues to deal with. Allison, thank you very much for joining us this Christmas Eve.
Thank you very much as well.
Allison Story is a counselor in Chatham-Kent for Ward 6. Victoria Fenn Alvarado is joining us now. Hey, Victoria, we just wrapped through a ton of weather news across the province, power outages, road conditions that were dicey. What are you seeing? What's happening next?
An array of warnings we saw the past couple of days. And, you know, we're not out of the woods just yet. We still do have some snow squalls and strong wind warnings in some places. Kincardine, Barrie, Huntsville, Kingston. I actually have a personal story to share myself. This was the car I was traveling in this morning. I was headed from Peterborough to work, and of course I knew I needed to be at work this evening, and my car got stuck. Yes, it took 5 grown men, a Jeep, and a very large chain to get my car out, and it took about 2.5 hours. My feet still defrosting from this event. Now, there are some learning moments to this, and that is things to pack, winter safety kits for your car. You know, we're hearing about all these stranded drivers and road collisions, and it is very necessary to have these in your car. I'm actually going to change this list to things Victoria wished she packed this morning. So also some patience is very necessary when you are traveling. Luckily, I left super early. I knew I needed to be at work on time. So, you know, give yourself extra time, less stress that way, and drive to the weather conditions, not necessarily the speed limits per se, but always drive to the weather conditions. And the weather conditions are going to be still chilly for the next couple of days. It's really the winds. Santa is going to have to navigate his reindeer through some strong winds tonight, but the winds do die out by Sunday. Sunday morning, -7, feeling like -16. And when I return in a few moments, we're going to talk about your long-range forecast.
Fantastic. And I am so glad that you were able to make it into work after having that dicey situation that you had to deal with.
Thank you. Thank you. Just needed to share, you know?
Oh, thank you. All right, Victoria, we'll be back with you again in a bit. But here is a live look at Niagara Falls this hour. Just a few minutes south from there, Fort Erie declaring a state of emergency this afternoon as well. Flooding there caused evacuations, and multiple trucks and cars were abandoned near the Peace Bridge border crossing. We'll have more on the effects of the storm, including an interview with a man who, along with hundreds of other people, had to spend the night at a community center east of the city of Toronto. That's all straight ahead for you, but first... Welcome back. Returning to our main focus today, the severe weather across the region, along with snow and winds. Temperatures in parts of the province have plummeted. In Toronto, 3 warming centers were open to keep homeless people off the streets. Mayor John Tory says capacity will remain in place as the weather continues the next day or two. This was the scene overnight at a Colborne, Ontario community center. Hundreds of people were stuck there seeking shelter after their vehicles were forced off the road by blizzard conditions on Highway 401. Ben Vuong was one of them, and he left Montreal on a bus yesterday morning at 10 a.m. and still has not arrived in Toronto yet. Ben is joining us now. Hey there, Ben. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
I'm doing well. You are finally on this bus, but of course you hoped that you would be in Toronto before yesterday evening, yet you ended up overnighting at that community center last night. What was that like?
Oh, it was like a nightmare for me. Yeah, we're supposed to be in Toronto around 4:30 p.m. yesterday, but we end up like stuck in the traffic. The driver tried to detour many ways, but we stuck in any ways, and finally we end up to a shelter called Kiola Center in Cornborn around 1 a.m. today, the 24th. So and we just get back to the bus to Toronto right now, and we hopefully like getting there very soon.
And Ben, did you get a chance to sleep at all, or what was that like staying there overnight?
Oh, so it's like everybody tried to take a nap on the floor or on the table, but we barely sleep, or it was a hard night. Very difficult for everyone, but fortunately we got very supportive from the town. We saw the mayor of the town, which saw the chief of fire service, many volunteer Red Cross, and we feel very warm and loved, and humanity. We're very grateful for that.
Oh, I love that. And of course, it is happening right before Christmas here. I know that you were racing to get back to be with friends here in Toronto for Christmas. But how stressful was this happening just before the holiday like this?
Oh, yeah, it's very stressful because like we didn't know what happened next. And like all we know is like we have to wait for the weather getting better. And the decision from OPP, from the management of the bus company, and then the answer was like very soon, but like it going forever. And from 1 a.m. this morning, and we just left the place like half an hour ago. So it was very stressful for everyone, but fortunately, we didn't have to spend the night there, because this morning the mayor announced that we probably gonna spend the night again there. So everyone freaked out, and but fortunately we are here on the bus.
Yeah, fortunately, no kidding. Now you're going to be able to wake up on Christmas morning with your friends here in Toronto. You're on this bus ride almost in the city now. How fantastic does that feel, knowing that for you, this does have a happy ending?
Sure, yeah. I feel very glad heading to Toronto and celebrate the the Christmas Eve with friends and make up for their holiday.
All right, Ben. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight, and I hope that you have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. I hope you have happy holidays the same.
And Ben Vuong was stuck overnight at a community center in Colborne, Ontario, due to blizzard conditions on the highway. And we're watching all over the province for you tonight. Here's a look at Windsor, where it feels like -23. Coming up, Victoria Fen Alvarado will be back with your full long-range forecast.
Ray Lalonde had the lead once again, headed into Final Jeopardy. Your response, sir? Who is Evangeline in the poem by Longfellow? Yes, an American poet, but set in Canada. Very good. His wager, $6,300. You have $26,500 on the day, and now a 7-day total of $192,700.
Oh my, who would like to have that heading into the holiday? That is Toronto's very own Ray Lalonde, now a 7-day champion on Jeopardy. He is the newest Canadian super champ, following Mattea Roach's incredible 23 straight wins earlier this year on the quiz program. Lalonde is locked into next year's Tournament of Champions and will go for win number 8 on Monday night. I know your car got a little beat up, Victoria, but if you won that much money, think of how many cars you could have. You could fix them all up and be
Oh my
perfect.
goodness, it's my absolute Christmas dream. I just really wish. I'm hoping Santa Claus hears this right now. I hope I'm on the nice list. Not too sure yet. We do have some warnings still in effect. Snow squalls and strong wind gusts through Kincardine, Barrie, Huntsville, Kingston as well. Still some lingering snow flurries through Timmins, also Sudbury, and even through the London area as well. So still be careful out on the roads tonight if you are traveling still or traveling for your holidays. We do have some strong wind gusts. The past 24 hours, Cobourg saw 104 kilometers an hour. Toronto, downtown, 93 kilometers an hour, and the winds are still playing an effect to this story, and that's just because when the winds blow the snow, that's when we get the whiteout conditions, you know, and that's the dangerous part about driving in these snow squalls, is that you have reduced visibility, and with winds gusting still towards that 80-70 kilometer mark through highways like the 401, that is very dangerous for travel conditions. And speaking of snow, not out of the woods yet with that, we still have a little bit of lingering snow. Now, remember, some of this has already fallen. In a majority of places, most of the snow has fallen, but we're still looking at snow through Barrie, Parry Sound, places more in cottage country, and I know a lot of people go visit their family. My family's in Muskoka right now, and I know my aunts probably spent the whole day in the tractor trying to clear out the snow. So not out yet, still some more snow to come. Here's another look at the timing. So Sunday morning, still some squalls through Kincardine, Barrie, and Parry Sound, but through the Toronto area, pretty dry until per se maybe Tuesday we could see some more snow, but that's a way away. Let's get through Christmas first tomorrow. Temperatures still frigid. Minus 15 is what it's going to feel like in London and Sault Ste. Marie. Gravenhurst minus 7, and if you're in cottage country. And for Monday, Boxing Day, Toronto feeling like minus 12. So definitely chilly, but we do warm up into the plus by next Thursday. So sometime there, so hang in there. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas to you, too. And it's frigid, but at least we have a white Christmas. Isn't that nice?
That's true. Some people like that. You know, if you want to go snowmobiling, perfect day.
No kidding. All right. Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, it is Christmas Eve, of course, and with the help of NORAD, we are tracking Santa Claus as he makes his way around the globe. He's already made stops in China, Russia, and is now flying over Africa. And while that is still a ways away from here in Canada, there's just a few more hours to go before he reaches our country. Of course, you can stay caught up on our news anytime by going to our website, cbcnews.ca. That's it for us tonight. Merry Christmas, everybody, if you celebrate, and have a great night.